Joining us today, though, certainly one of my favorite people to help us sort out this terrible event, a gentleman who covered the Boston Marathon in his long, extensive career, former HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant. Larry, not a good day yesterday.
Scott, no. I don't remember being so sad about something that I thought of as pure. I covered the 72 Olympics with the killing of the Israeli athletes. I have vivid recollections of it, but even more vivid recollections of the many Boston marathons I covered. It was a human race. And it's just, as Mike Barnacle, the old Boston writer, put it, just a knife in the heart.
Larry, for those of us who have not been to the Boston Marathon, you said it right there. What is it about that race that's so American and ended up being such a blow to the heart?
Well, first, I always saw it as the kind of local and or regional festival of sport that, say, the Kentucky Derby is, or the Indianapolis 500, or the Rose Bowl. It represented something to that whole community, and something that all the rest of us connected to once in a while. And the marathon in Boston goes back more than a century. Things like New York and Los Angeles marathons are just modern, very contemporary spin-offs of that. And the connection to Patriots Day, the Red Sox playing in the morning. I can remember driving out to Hopkinton, where the marathon begins, and there's a big old gymnasium there. Remember driving past Walden Pond, actually. And in the gymnasium were just a riot of humanity. The serious runners, the world-class runners, getting ready to prove themselves again on what was then really the biggest marathon stage outside of the Olympics. Ready to challenge Heartbreak Hill and the elements. And all the rest of the people who just came there as to testify in some way about themselves and about the race. I remember hearing last night, I guess, about the couple that came from Texas to run in the race, and then they were going to get married. It seemed like a variation of the many, many stories I heard about people coming from all over to participate in this. And of course, the community's response and the vibe that went on, that we all get this somehow. It was back in the day that I started to cover it when, what was his name, John Rogers or Tom Rogers, who won it several times, one of the last of the Americans to win it. There was an old guy named Kelly, I think he might have been a fireman, who had won it many years before, who still ran in the race. There was a press bus that followed the leaders. I remember at one point an official jumping off the bus to wrestle a number away from a woman before women were allowed in the race. Huh. The Rosie Ruiz incident, where she apparently took some shortcuts as part of the lore of the Boston Marathon. And it represented to me, both personally and professionally, what I always thought sport should be. Not just watching the elite, but that everybody participating in it, and their stories and the humanity and the humor of the event. I remember that one time there were a bunch of girls from Wellesley College perched somewhere along the way, and they were carrying signs, and a few of them were stretched appealingly on sofas, and they were waiting for Eric Siegel. Now, Eric Siegel was the author of the bestseller Love Story, which later became a very popular movie. He had been a Harvard grad and was a runner, and he was running in the Boston Marathon. And there were just countless individual stories that that mattered, and all of it added up to a glorious celebration of fun and games.
Larry, I want to touch on the way this happened yesterday. It was two bombs, obviously not an isolated incident. It was very well thought out, seemed to be. Even though the bombs, as they say, were a little amateurish, it was two bombs detonated within seconds of each other. What do you make of that?
Well, I'm not an expert. The first thought, of course, is that it coming on Patriots Day, that it's some kind of a terrorist act against America and the government. But, we've seen domestic crazies do crazy stuff, too. So, whoever planned this and hoped that it would deeply resonate with us did it.
The idea of using ball bearings, which I wanted to add to that, it's just a horrible, horrible thing to do.